Welcome back. There's another showdown between Tamil Nadu Governor and the government. And this one has escalated. Tamil Nadu Governor RN Ravi has dismissed Senthil Balaji from the state cabinet without consulting Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. Balaji is accused of money laundering case. This is a multi-crore cash for job scam when he served as a transport minister under the previous AIADM government. He joined the DMK in 2018. Now, in May this year, when the Supreme Court paved the way for an ED investigation, it was observed that justice and fair play had been compromised, adding that corruption by a public servant was an offence against the state and society. These were the words of the Supreme Court. The court also ruled that it was the duty of the Enforcement Directorate to register an information report, take action on this matter. Balaji was eventually arrested by the ED on the 14th of June and is in judicial custody till the 12th of July. He has been hospitalized after being arrested, but Chief Minister Stalin retained him as a minister without a portfolio. The governor accused him of abusing his position, influencing the probe and obstructing the course of justice. The CM has vowed legal action, calling the governor's order illegal. The big question is, as this showdown is very likely head to the court, can the governor's decision stand the test of law? I mean, will this decision of the governor really stand firm in law if the matter were to go to the Supreme Court of India? That's the big question we ask on Brass Tacks tonight.
அதிகாரம் கிடையாது. அது சட்ட ரீதியாக அதை சந்திச்சோம்.
Well, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Narayan Tirupati, the Vice President of Tamil Nadu BJP, Mr. A. Sarvanan, who's a spokesperson of DMK, Kailash Vasudev, who's a senior advocate, joining us on the broadcast as well. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Yeah. Kailash ji, I want to come to you first before I go to the political spokesperson and the political debate starts. Is the governor right in what he has done? I'm talking about the rule of law. Was the governor authorized to take this action, sir, in your learned opinion?
Look, good evening. In the scheme of the Constitution, the governor has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. The removal of a minister is also prescribed under Article 164 of the Constitution of India. So there is a procedure prescribed in the Constitution. The Chief Minister is appointed by the governor as a majority. When he has a majority in the House, he is appointed the Chief Minister. He recommends the appointments of ministers, and the ministers are appointed in that sequence. The power to remove a minister can only come on the recommendations of the Chief Minister. You cannot remove a minister ad valorem, like it has happened in this case. If this starts happening, then the sanctity of the separation of powers, the federal structure will collapse. The Chief Minister, like the Prime Minister under Article 74, has to be available with his Council of Ministers to aid and advise the President of India. Likewise, the governor has to be advised by the Council of Ministers. He is not in charge of the Council of Ministers. He has to be advised by the Council of Ministers. And the advice of the Council of Ministers is binding on the governor. If he disagrees,
I have another pointed question. You've elucidated that the governor needs to act on the aid and advice of the Chief Minister, and any other action, the manner in which the governor has acted, in your opinion, is a violation of the federal structure, which is a basic tenet of Indian Constitution. Now, the governor has passed an order. What is the next step? Does the elected government need to go to court? They can very well say, well, this order is without any sanctity. But the fact that the governor's office has taken a decision which we might believe is illegal, but it needs to be called illegal by a constitutional court. Will they have to go to court?
Considering the fact that there is a collision going on from what we hear from today's news, the Chief Minister can always recommend that the man be restored in office. It is there that the stalemate will come.
Okay.
Go to the court is an option available to everybody. It's a fundamental right. No one can stop you. But what happens if the Chief Minister says, please bring this gentleman back as member of my Council of Ministers? The governor cannot then say no. Because he has to act on the advice of the Chief Minister. In the framing in the constitution of the Council of Ministers.
Okay.
These matters are not bereft of law. There have been matters of discussions in this starting from Mumbai in 93-94.
Well, sir, but what I find really appalling is that we have seen various standoffs between the government and the governor. But this is unprecedented in a different way. I've been a student of law and I don't remember any instance in Indian politics where a governor has taken a decision in this manner.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
You, as a governor, you are a statesman meant to look after the affairs of the state and work in tandem with the government. You are not the government.
Exactly.
The government is the elected people.
I'm also waiting for the BJP spokesperson to join us on the broadcast.
I just want to go one step further.
Yeah.
From what little I have seen on the news today is that these people, that the governor has acted because the man has been arrested for corruption. In all legislative assemblies, including parliament, almost 40% of the MPs
are accused of corruption. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you go ahead and dismiss them. I completely agree with that point. Before we get in a word from the BJP, we also have Mr. Saravanan with us on the broadcast. Mr. Saravanan, I'm sure you already heard my conversation with Mr. Vasudev, but I must ask a question to the DMK as well, and this question is rather on propriety. I'm not talking about the governor's action or the legality of the governor's action. I will ask that question to the BJP as and when they join us on the debate. But this is a minister who has very serious charges against him. Why did the government decide to retain him a minister without a portfolio?
Yeah, see, it's good to know that you are a student of law and you fully appreciate that this kind of an action is unprecedented, has never happened in independent India. So legally, let me put it for my part that legally the governor is clueless. He is undermining the constitution. He is acting in a clownish way. This is not expected from the governor who's holding the high constitutional office. So let us be clear that the governor does not have any power. Whatever he does, he has to do that in the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, and he is a rubber stamp, a postman and a yes man in the constitutional scheme of things. This is what everybody knows, every law student knows, every man with a civic knowledge knows. Now the governor here, and you are asking about propriety. The propriety is with the ED. Can the ED arrest someone for a case which happened 10 years earlier?
Sir, they were acting on Supreme Court orders. Sir,
Supreme
the
Court.
action was taken on Supreme Court orders.
Let me come to it.
Yes.
Let me come to it. The Supreme Court did not say arrest him. The Supreme Court said go investigate. The Supreme Court in the last 15 years, in any number of judgments, has said in white-collar offences, arrest should not be resorted to. Is he a flight risk? Is this a heinous crime?
Sir, Mr. Saravanan, I have to reiterate that question to you. Yes, I have to reiterate that question to you. My question to you, we spoke of constitution, we spoke of propriety in the context of the governor's action, and those questions will be asked on this broadcast. But there's a question to the DMK as well, that where is constitutional morality, the integrity that any elected government should have, sir? Mr. Saravanan.
Yes. Since we are talking about constitutional morality, I'll have to go into that question of why he was arrested. He was arrested by one arm of the union government. Why the union government is targeting this minister? Because they think that if he arrests him, we can intimidate the DMK government. Is this the constitutional morality the BJP government is following? The ED has the audacity to go to the secretariat. Why should they go to the secretariat? For a crime which happened in 2013. 2015, he swore in as a minister when he was in 2021. You think that he's going to have the evidences in his secretariat office? So why did they do that? They did that because they did not want to follow constitutional morality. They wanted to intimidate. We have a terrorist as an MP. We have Mr. Narayan Rane arrested.
But
and he was released on bail. He continues as a minister. How many ministers have criminal charges?
If there is a serious charge against your sitting minister, Mr. Saravanan, you're right that constitutional morality has been given a go-by in many criminal investigations in this country. You're right.
Yes.
But isn't your party a party with difference? Isn't your party the one which upholds the rule of law? Isn't your party the one that has put out the Dravidian model of governance? And shouldn't you be held accountable to higher standards of governance?
Beautiful question. How do you ensure that the snake bite? How do you save a snake bite victim? By giving the same venom. This is what we are doing. We are teaching BJP. The BJP is extremely upset because of the failure of the ED to arrest Mr. Senthil Balaji, take a custody and intimidate him, harass him.
I am being told that there is some problem, and that's why we're not being able to get a BJP spokesperson.
Let me finish this.
Yes,
one
finish
more
your
point for me.
Finish
One
your
more,
point.
10
Finish
seconds
your
for
point.
me.
Yes.
If this same logic is applied, will the president tomorrow dismiss Mr. Amit Shah? You were not able to maintain law order in
I have
Manipur.
maintained in this discussion that legally, I
Yes.
believe the governor's action is on a very flimsy
Yes.
ground. Mr. Narayan
Yes.
Tirupati
No,
has a problem with the
BJP is
connection.
going to support that.
I believe he is joining us on the broadcast via phone line. Mr. Tirupati, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good evening.
We have Mr. A. Sarvanan and Mr. Kailash Vasudev, who is a senior advocate with us on the broadcast. We've been talking about the decision of the governor. And I want to ask from you that is the decision of the governor has any kind of sanctity or authorization in law? Was the governor being consulted? Yes, please go ahead.
The governor has appointed the minister, and he understands that the minister has violated whatever oath he has taken. He is a corrupt person. He has taken money for giving government jobs. It has been, in fact, he himself has admitted, and the Supreme Court has very clearly said that special investigation team should be formed. Wherever,
But Mr. Tirupati, please allow me an interjection. Mr. Tirupati, one second.
Let me finish. I don't want any.
All right, make your point. Make your point. Make your point.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. Then you ask.
Get out, sir. Get out.
One second, Mr. Sarvanan,
Mr. Sarvanan,
not that language on the show. Not that language on the show. Not that language on the show.
You bloody fools have ruined this country, right?
Mr. Narayan
You get
Tirupati,
out, man. You get out of the studio.
Mr.
You are
Narayan
coming to the national channel and
Can I just have the
you
BJP?
are asking
Can I just have the
me to
BJP,
get out.
please?
You
Can
get
I
out of
just have
this
the
country,
BJP,
man.
please? Can I just have the
Who are
BJP,
you?
please? Mr.
You
Narayan
bloody
Tirupati.
fellow, who are you?
Mr.
You
Narayan
bloody
Tirupati. Mr. Narayan Tirupati. It's just you on the broadcast. Will you please go ahead and make your point? You were talking about the merits of the governor's order. Can we come back to the debate, please?
First you mute him. Then I will talk.
It is only your audio
I
which
don't
is
want to listen to these clowns.
Sir,
These clowns,
you are
I don't want.
audible. You are audible.
The governor is a clown. This fellow is a clown.
You are audible to the viewers, and you will not be interrupted while you're making an argument like no other panelist has been interrupted. Please go ahead and make your point, sir.
Yes. See, the governor has appointed the minister. The minister has failed in his duties, and it is very clear the governor has written so many times to the chief minister, the government also, that the Senthil Balaji should be dismissed. It is not the governor who said Senthil Balaji is a cheat. It was Mr. Stalin, the present chief minister, who said that Senthil Balaji is a cheat. He only said that he has cheated so many people. Is it not so? Even you have played those videos. But now, in spite of saying all those things, now he is keeping him as the minister without portfolio. It's definitely a fault. The governor has appointed him. The minister is at the pleasure of the governor.
Mr. Tirupati,
If there are
I believe you've made
legal
your argument.
hurdles or if there is any legal problem, let them face it. He will face
Mr.
it.
Narayan
What is
Tirupati,
the
you
problem?
are a responsible politician who understands the law and political system in this country. The governor appoints the minister on the aid and advice of the chief minister. It is so let me finish my point and then you can rebut me. There is no precedent. There is no precedent in this country when the governor can take an action in this manner. Many would argue, we have a senior advocate on the broadcast who argued that this action of the governor is completely unwarranted in law. It is against the federal structure of India to work like this against a federal government, a duly elected government of the day.
If there is no precedent, let it be the precedent. Absolutely no problem. If there is a problem, let them go to the court and face it. What is the problem? Mr. RN Ravi, the governor, would have definitely consulted so many legal luminaries on this. He would have taken the legal advice. Let us see what happens. Nothing wrong. Why should he has taken 3 lakhs for giving a conductor job. Okay.
1 second.
So much of poor people's money he has taken.
You know, Mr. Tirupati, before we were having some problems to connect with you, and my questions to the DMK were persistently about the constitutional morality in holding a person like this as a minister, despite having very serious charges against him. So that's the point I've taken with the DMK. But I believe Mr. Sarvanan has a point to make, and I request both of you, please refrain from personal jibes.
I don't want to listen to him. Why should I listen to him?
Sir, because he's the spokesperson of the DMK.
Why should I listen to clowns?
Can we please have
I answered you. I
Mr.
don't want
Tirupati.
to argue with this fellow.
So you don't
He
have to
doesn't
argue
any
with him.
manners.
You don't have to argue with him.
Okay.
I will. He can address to me, and I will address those questions to you as an anchor. Mr. Saravanan, my humble request to you:
Yes.
can we please refrain from personal jibes? Make your point. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, that's what the constitutional morality. Does the BJP have any moral authority to speak about people who are tainted to hold office? 33 ministers in the BJP government are tainted. So many criminal cases against them, murder charges. We have a terrorist as an MP. 6 persons were killed. We are having Brij Bhushan Singh. He has been given a red carpet welcome. What is the charge against him? What can be more heinous than that? Sexual assault. On whom? The golden girls of this country. And the BJP is coming here and preaching us morality. This must be the biggest joke. Irony will jump from the cliff and die.
Mr. Saravanan,
Listening lectures of morality from the BJP.
What will your government do from here on? Are you going to move
Yes.
a court of law? That's what I want to know.
See, the Chief Minister has indicated in a brief press conference that we will move the Supreme Court. See, this is one view. That apart, what value does that paper have? Will it even have the value of the paper on which it is written?
Well, you might
Where is
argue
the power
that,
for
sir, but
governor?
the unfortunate
that's
part
the moment.
is that it's
Yes.
written on the official paper of the governor's
what?
office.
So what?
So you'll
So
have
what?
to
No,
go
I'm
to a
asking.
court. You'll have to go to a court.
You are saying that. You are saying that. I am asking if the governor says tomorrow dismiss the DGP, dismiss the Chief Minister, dismiss the Prime Minister. Will you listen to that? Will you go to the court to get it
Can I answer
nullified?
that? Can I answer that?
Yes,
I don't know if you're
yes.
aware, there was a case of Justice C.S. Karnan. And he, in his tenure as a judge, had passed certain orders which were not legally tenable and some would call them frivolous. There was a special bench of the Supreme Court that had to sit and overrule all those orders because he was a judge.
Yes.
And in his official capacity had passed those. So,
Yes.
one second. So, to answer
There's a
your
difference.
question,
There's
to
a
answer
difference.
your question,
Yes.
that is it worth
Yes.
the paper it's written on? I guess it is.
No, it is not. That is your view. This is my view. That apart, the Supreme Court, this is not a new issue. The Supreme Court is already a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court. In the Nurul's case, has clearly said it is not our duty. It is not anybody's job. It is the prerogative of the Prime Minister or the prerogative of the Chief Minister to appoint ministers. If they are tainted with some cases, some criminal cases, it is the responsibility. Yes, last
30
point.
seconds,
Last point.
sir. 30
last
seconds,
point.
sir.
Yes. If the president tomorrow dismisses Mr. Amit Shah, you have not maintained law and order in Manipur, will the BJP clap their hands and accept it with glee? Because
Mr.
the
Kailash
same logic
Vasudev,
applies to the
I take your
president
point.
also.
Mr. Kailash
Yes.
Vasudev, I'm coming back to you. How does it go from here on? The different possibilities and conjectures that you laid out, the possible options before the Chief Minister, lay down a ground for an imminent clash between these two constitutional authorities, the Chief Minister's office and the Governor. Can this all be avoided if they go to a constitutional court? I believe Supreme Court is the forum here.
Not necessary. You can go to the High Court because it's a matter which has come within the state of Tamil Nadu. You don't have to go to the Supreme Court. The matter can be done before the High Court. The High Court is equally empowered to look into this. It looked into the dissolution of the houses by the governors under 368 and the like immediately at a point of time where things were very sensitive. In 1977, when the recommendation was made by the then government that governor should resign and the government should resign for the purposes of having a election because the Congress had lost power in the center. See, these are not matters which go to the Supreme Court directly. I don't know. We made the Supreme Court the dumping ground for all disputes.
I know even bail matters go there.
When the High Courts have parallel powers.
Yes.
Go to the High Court, take a decision. Those judges are equally competent. They eventually land up in the Supreme Court. This business of attacking the Supreme Court, I use the word attacking not in the sense that you are
Sure.
saying adverse things, but attacking means you're going into the Supreme Court that do everything for us. Now let's come back to this issue. You have a governor who has removed a person as a minister on the grounds of charges of corruption, premised on a certain observation of the Supreme Court. This man has not been found guilty. There are only charges against him. If there are charges, arrest him by all means, but you can't remove him. It's a totally different situation to remove a constitutional function. You mentioned Karnan's case.
Yes.
Karnan was held guilty for contempt.
Yes.
His orders may have been set aside as different, but he was in contempt because of what he said. He was never removed from his office.
Exactly. Yes.
He could not be removed.
Yes.
To remove a judge, you've got to go through a complete constitutional process,
Of impeachment.
including impeachment.
Yes.
In the case of the removal of a minister, the chief minister has to give a
So
recommendation.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, and I don't want to interrupt that fascinating argument. But to put it succinctly, because we have paucity of time, the forum of a constitutional court is something that the government will have to resort to. The DMK might believe that this order is not tenable in law, and that's what the legal experts are also saying. But it needs to be set aside. At the very least, the ground is set for an imminent clash yet again between the elected government and the governor's office in the state. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Brass Tacks. Thank you for watching.